And we are live, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you and welcome everybody to our Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024 meeting. Before getting into the proper business, I'd like to focus your attention to the Glengarry Phoenix. This week's 20 questions is Stephanie's mom, or Counselor Jaworski's mom, so kind of nice to recognize somebody near to us. Moved by Deputy Mayor Lang, seconded by Counselor Bougie. Be it resolved that the July 2nd, 2024 council meeting of the Township of South Glengarry now be opened at 7:05 p.m. All those in favor? Carried. We'll now rise for the singing of our national anthem. Are we all being polite? I just don't hear the national anthem right now.
Casey's advised that it is on.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Approval of the agenda. I believe there is an item that would be wanting to be pulled out of the consent agenda.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, I believe the one consent agenda item 10.A, a resolution from the Township in North Glengarry, has been requested to be pulled.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Jaworski, seconded by Councillor McDonnell. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of South Glengarry approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor? Carried. Approval of minutes. Moved by Deputy Mayor Lang, seconded by Councillor McDonnell. Be it resolved that the minutes of the following meetings be adopted as circulated. Special meeting minutes, June 17th, 2024, and previous meeting minutes, June 17th, 2024. Were there any errors or omissions that anybody saw? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion as read. Carried. We will now move into presentations and delegations. I believe it's Mr. Surduk is online.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor and councillors and associated employees. I have here present with me Mr. Scott Forney, and the nature of the presentation, I think you've already seen the correspondence that I've provided, but I'll give you a quick overview for the people that aren't up to speed as far as what the lodge does, Lancaster Lodge. It's been in existence since over 150 years. At the present location, about 130 years. As a result of monetary issues and also a major issue that it wasn't readily accessible to a large part of the membership due to the staircases and the relative age of the parties, that it was incumbent to sell it. With the this is on South Terrace Street and Maple. With the assistance of the township, we were able to sever, which included several minor variances for the three created lots. We sold the lodge building and the South Terrace lot to a gentleman, Mr. Tays, or at least his company. We retained a lot for the purpose of building a core floor slab building for the above mentioned reasons, and to also rejuvenate the organization in the area. Martintown no longer has a physical lodge. They've rented from us. Alexandria has moved to Van Cleek Hill. So effectively, we are the last organization that holds a physical presence in the area, and we'd like to continue it. However, with that, there are challenges. We have addressed most of the challenges. However, it comes down to the dollar. At present, we now are at a stage where we can make an application for a building permit. And I should also indicate that much of the work, the legal, the construction, the designing has been done on a voluntary basis. Actually, Mr. Forney just came back today. He cleaned the limbs and brush on the property, and took the wood away at his expense. I can also indicate that the federal government, upon our application, gave us a grant towards the new building with certain requirements for accessibility, which is fine. And what we're asking for, and I'm familiar, it hasn't been done. It has been done before. We are nonprofit, and it is a fraternal organization. And I just counted up quickly the 6 mayors before our sitting mayor. 3 of them were Masons for Lancaster Lodge. In addition to that, the fact that we're asking this to precipitate our movement and our project simply is to continue to be a viable organization, solidly planted in the jurisdiction. And that's about all I can say. In addition to the fact is Mr. Is it Dylan Sagan? He allocated a figure of 10,500. I provided him with a brief resume. The nature of the building would not require any above normal or even normal usage of water and sewer. Effectively, the meetings are 2 to 4 nights a month, okay, with perhaps practices. And that's the extent of the usage.
Thank you very
Can I
much.
surface?
Sorry, did I interrupt you?
No, can I canvass any questions?
Yes, are there any questions from around the table? We'll go to Councillor Jaworski, and then we'll go to Deputy Mayor Lang.
Thank you very much, and through you, Mayor McDonald. Thank you very much, Mr. Surduk, for bringing this to us. It's good to see a group such as yours having taken so many steps already to keep your organization viable, your not-for-profit organization viable. So I commend you on that, certainly. And I wanted to follow up on one of the comments that you made, or perhaps I misunderstood, and I think it's from Ms. Haley. The question is that have we waived connection fees in the past, or maybe it's Mr. Sega, have we waived connection fees in the past for not-for-profits?
Yes. Would you like me to give the example? I was involved in Habitat for Humanity.
Okay.
Okay. And certainly that's a nonprofit organization which does good also. But at the same time, I think on a larger scale, we must be at least in the same vein.
Right.
Thank you, Mr.
Ms. Haley, is there another organization, or is that the one that you were coming on to mention as well?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. That was the one I would have responded to if Mr. Surduk was unable to. Thank you.
And
Okay,
it may
great.
have been done twice, I believe. It's possible that it was done twice.
That'd be the Glen Walter build and also the Lancaster build, I believe. Am I correct with that assumption, Ms. Haley?
As well as the Legion, Mr. Mayor, we waived the fee for that organization.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Lang?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. Thanks for the presentation, Mr. Surduk. Yeah, I just to voice my my agreement with this, that if staff brings us back something, I will definitely be in favor of it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, and as you know, Mr. Surduk, we don't make decisions at the delegation level, but we can ask staff to come back with a staff report. Can I get just like a nod of heads to see if we'd like to put this on the floor to vote? Okay, so yes, if staff can come back with this in the affirmative, and then we can vote on it at an upcoming meeting. I think that's all. So thank you very much for your presentation.
And thank you very much for giving us the time. Thank you. Good night.
Have a good evening. We will now move to action request titled South Beach Subdivision and Subdivision Agreement Approval by Ms. Haley, moved by Deputy Mayor Lang, seconded by Councillor Jaworski. Be it resolved that staff report 2024-79 be received, and that the Council of the Township of South Glengarry recommends to the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry's Director of Planning and Economic Development Services to issue a final approval for the draft plan of subdivision known as South Beach Street Subdivision, legally described as Part Lot L, Concession 1 Front in Geographic Township of Charlottenburg, now in the Township of South Glengarry, County of Glengarry, authorizes administration to clear the township draft plan conditions, and authorizes the mayor and clerk to execute the subdivision agreement. Mrs. Haley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as you mentioned, this subdivision is located in the village of Lancaster on the south side of South Beach Street. Many of you would recognize the property as being the former St. Joseph's Primary Catholic School playground. So the purpose of this draft plan of subdivision is to create 7 residential building lots that will be accessed directly off of South Beach Street. And they are zoned for 6 semi-detached dwelling units as well as 1 fourplex, which will result in 16 new dwelling units in the village of Lancaster if all lots are constructed upon. The United Counties had issued draft plan approval on March 10th, 2022, and it was subject to 38 conditions. And the developer and his engineer has worked through those conditions, resulting in the municipality being able to bring a subdivision agreement before council for approval this evening, as well as a recommendation to the United Counties to issue final approval. And we will also send a letter to clear all of the conditions that the Township of South Glengarry had requested and were responsible for filling. Attached to the staff report this evening is the subdivision agreement, as well as conditions that were applied during the draft plan approval. So if there's any questions, I would be happy to answer these questions and recommend to council to approve this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Haley. Are there any questions or comments from around the table? All right, I'd just like to say thank you. I think this one took a little doing, and I think the ended up being perhaps a recommendation from you to help get it done. So thank you, Mrs. Haley, for that thinking outside the box, perhaps as to a regular way. All those in favor of the motion as read? Carried. Moving on to 7B. Summerstown Estates Parkland. Moved by Councillor McDonnell, seconded by Councillor Jaworski. Be it resolved that staff report 2024-76 be received and the Council of the Township of South Glengarry allocate the recommended parcel of parkland as outlined in the report. Ms. Harbers.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. So council may remember at the May 6th council meeting, GM Haley and I brought a report regarding the Summerstown Estates property. So council agreed to designate 2.5 acres to parkland with 1 acre to be determined in the future. At that meeting, council directed staff to look at the allocation of the parkland just to see if we could move it further away from County Road 27. So staff we met on site to look at the property and to see what would be reasonable. Administration also discussed the property and what would be best for the site. So it was concluded that due to the drainage that is on the north and west side of the property, that we could move the allocation over for the parkland as shown in the report. Also, GM McDonald advised that we'd be able to put a driveway on both of the properties that are outlined in that map. And hopefully infrastructure can help us get a driveway in place to allow for landscaping equipment to access the property for that project this year. And then you will see in the map where the guy wires are on the property, just to give you a visual, as well as how much frontage is on each parcel. So like I did mention in the report, there is much landscaping and fill that will need to take place. I think we'll be able to work with infrastructure to get that, to possibly get some extra fill to put on that property, and might be able to work together on that one. But unless there's any questions from council, this is what we're recommending tonight.
Thank you very much. Councillor Jaworski.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor McDonald. Thanks very much, Ms. Harbers, for bringing this forward. This is one of the ones that's near to my heart to move, keep moving along with progress. My question is probably more for everybody, is that I know there was an email that came through this afternoon from, I think, the residents in that area, and I wasn't able to open the email. So I don't know if there was anything. I assume other folks on council got it. I'm not sure if there was anything that was a particular, or if there's something that is relevant for this evening.
As far as I can see, it was just thank you for doing what we did. So.
Yeah, no, I can confirm that. Councillor McDonnell, did you have something further to add, or was it just to say that? Deputy Mayor Lang, were you just going to confirm? Okay, we'll go to Councillor Bougie then.
Thank you, and through Mr. Mayor, thanks for all the work on this, and I'm happy to see that we're able to get this done somewhat, and I guess we'll get some information as to our options for the 1 acre lot later on. But I know there was some residents I reached out to, and they were worried about the parkland being changed or whatnot. But it's good to see that it will be parkland, because I believe Councillor McDonnell had mentioned it. If you're buying a lot and you know there's going to be a park or parkland behind you, to change that. I mean, that's why they bought that lot. So it's good to see that we're able to work this out. So thank you for all your work on this.
Great to hear. And also, I reached out to, I think it was Mrs. Slinger, and I had said, some of our communities have fundraised in the past, and she said her community is ready to go as soon as we're ready to go. So that was also great to hear. So please keep them involved, because maybe they can do more. And obviously it was Malian subdivision at one point. Perhaps reach out to them too, or let that group reach out. And I think together we can make this pretty great. And thank you for your work to move the east and the west portion of it. All those in favor of the motion as read? Carried. Thank you. Acceptance of the peanut line options analysis, moved by Councillor Bougie, seconded by Councillor Jaworski. Be it resolved that staff report 2024-75 be received into the Council of the Township of South Glengarry, except the peanut line options analysis report completed by WSP for future considerations. I guess I should have earlier declared a conflict, so I apologize for that, Madam Clerk. I will have to remove myself from this conversation as I am adjacent to the peanut line, so I'll turn the chair over to Deputy Mayor Lang.
Thank you. Noted.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Point of order, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I'll also declare a conflict, as I'm adjacent to a property owner to the peanut lines, seeing as the mayor has. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Sherry Lynn, go ahead.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. So this report was presented and prepared for council late last year at the November 6th council meeting. So since that time, like council did provide at that time some questions and adjustments. So WSP provided some adjustments to the report based on the feedback. The options and the data in the report did not change since receiving the last copy. However, just a more detailed explanation regarding the costings in the report was provided. So, for example, adding more clarification with regards to the opinion of probable cost in the summary and Appendix E, specifically pages 54 and 55, just to articulate the assumptions under which the costing was prepared. So to be more specific, outlining that they were providing costing based on a 5-meter wide trail, and just to give the township the greatest flexibility with the trail, and also more details regarding the culverts. So it wasn't providing costing for capital improvements to the culverts. However, there was costing for maintenance to 25 culverts, just to give some brief examples. And that's pretty much the adjustments that were made. So basically at this time, administration is simply just asking for council to accept the final report for future considerations. Once council receives the final report, if and when council decides to have further discussions regarding the peanut line and make decisions regarding its future, then you have this document to reference. So the purpose of the peanut line options analysis project was for consultation to take place and for the options to be outlined for the peanut line, and also research. Then we also received recommendations based on the challenges that we face as a municipality with regards to the trail and its infrastructure, as well as best practices for multi-use trails. This document provides us with information and recommendations to move forward if and when council decides to do so. So we plan to provide a copy of the final report on the website, the page that we created whenever we started this project, just for information purposes. And then we can also provide an update to anyone that participated throughout the consultation. But that's basically what we are asking for tonight, is to hopefully accept the report just for further to further reference it in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions? Councillor Bougie?
Through me, Deputy Mayor. Ms. Harbers, I was just at point 5, they're looking at there's some options 1, 2, 3, with various kind of consequences. Are you looking for us to choose one of those tonight, or this is just to accept the report and kind of move? It'll be like a guiding document, but we're not bound to anything in it. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, that is correct. Just basically accepting the report to use for future consideration. The options outlined in the report in section 5 is just to kind of summarize, the meat and potatoes of the report, but not asking council to make that decision this evening.
Okay, thank you.
Any further? Yes, go ahead, Councillor Jaworski.
Thank you, through you, Deputy Mayor. Thanks very much, Ms. Harbers, for it's closing this one off. This was a big project, I know, for staff. A lot of effort was put into it. A really extensive consultation effort. So I'm very glad that that happened. And I think the report has got lots of really good information. I think when the consultants presented it, I think I did make a comment that they are showing us sort of like all the way up to the Cadillac version that we could have in terms of the peanut line. But I think but there's lots of good recommendations that are a bit smaller and probably easier for us to start implementing that are included in there. So it's a really good reference document. I wanted to take the opportunity to specifically touch on one point in terms of things that could potentially be done next. And I know regarding the trail signage. I know that the deputy mayor and I, we had a visit with one of the residents who is adjacent to the peanut line, and they were having issues of trespassing. And one thing that came up about how to improve signage to try and help reduce that if possible. But also the other point that was brought up is how to ensure that law enforcement is well aware of this asset that we have, and if there's any recommendations that they have for our signage that would help them in supporting residents when they do have calls about folks doing things that they shouldn't be doing on the peanut line. So I'm hoping that at some point that's something that could be looked at by staff, and I'm hoping as a council that we do discuss some of the small wins that we could do on the peanut line to show residents that we didn't just do the study and then close the book and put it on a shelf, but that we're starting to do some things within the the limited funds that we have at this time to slowly keep improving it. Thank you.
Thank you. No further questions. I would agree with Councillor Jaworski that the signage would be something we could do fairly soon. I know I had comments from the Snowmobile Club that they had put some stop signs up themselves, and they usually take them down during the summer, but since there was no stop signs there, they left theirs up. So we maybe, and maybe that's been addressed already, but anyway, question for the clerk. Should I reread the resolution? It was read by someone who has now stepped out.
Yes, I would recommend that, to reread it and then vote on it.
Thank you very much. I'll read the resolution then. Be it resolved that staff report 2024-075 be received, and that the Council of Township of South Glengarry accept the peanut line option analysis report completed by WSP for future considerations. All those in favor? And that's passed. Thank you very much. Back to our mayor.
I was a little impatient clicking the buttons. I think I popped on there for a second. Thank you for taking that over, Deputy Mayor Lang. Moving on to 7D, procurement 2024-07 supply of standby generators. Moved by Councillor McDonnell, seconded by Councillor Jaworski. Be it resolved that staff report 2024-77 be received, that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of South Glengarry award RFP 2024-07 to Delhay Electric in the amount of $63,856.98. And furthermore, that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign any relevant documents. Acting CEO Robertson.
Good evening, and thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we published a request for proposal for standby generators at 3 municipal locations. That proposal has closed, and we have submissions to speak on tonight. 3 locations where we had discussed in the 2024 budget to locate standby generator systems would be the infrastructure service for the public works facility on Airport Road, relocating a generator at the Williamstown Fire Station, and allocating another standby generator to the Landshire building in Lancaster. On the report, you'll note that the budget values are all listed there. In the analysis, I won't go into all the details of the analysis. The size and specifics of all of the locations were provided in the RFP. Some of the locations need infrastructure for the new generators to be located on, as in concrete pads or concrete floating pads. All locations will include hookup, supply, delivery, and installation connections to the various fuel sources. So in item 4, you'll note that we've listed, we had 2 submitters to this RFP, to this tender. The prices of the submissions are noted in the analysis. Of note, the Williamstown Fire Station item was listed in the RFP to be a water-cooled version. We've subsequently evaluated that need. One of the submissions provided a suggestion if we were to go with an air-cooled. It's a significant cost savings of $15,000 if we go with that model. We're comfortable with going with that way. Basically, it's just the engine cooling system. So you'll note I have added that as a single price point from one of the suppliers, one of the proponents, and it's listed as one of the prices that we'll carry forward. So the evaluation matrix of the 2 submitters, Delhay Electric scored the highest. They also provided some suggestions for other value-added options, which provided them with added points in the evaluation. So administration recommends that the submission provided by Delhay Electric be accepted for all sites. So if there are any questions, I'm open to answering them. So.
Are there any questions from members of council? Councillor Jaworski.
Thank you, through your Mayor McDonald. My question is, why is it that we wanted or requested a liquid cooled one in the first place?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Good question. There is an opinion that equipment that may run for long durations under heavier loads may be better, have better results with a water-cooled engine. In review with the revised electrical load in the new fire station in Williamstown, we're comfortable that an air-cooled version will adequately meet the needs of that location. So, and it was an air-cooled device that was there in the past.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions around the table? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion as read. Carried.
Mr. Mayor,
bylaws.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I'm just noticing in the recommendation, there is a staff report listed as staff report 2024-077.
Yes.
And oh, no, sorry, my issue. I'm getting mixed up between the procurement number as being 07 and the staff report being 077. All good. My apologies.
That's fine. Better be sure than not. We'll go into bylaws, funding agreement for the renewed Canada Community Building Fund 2024, 2020 or 2034. Moved by Councillor Bougie, seconded by Councillor McDonnell. Be resolved that staff report 2024-74 be received, and that bylaw 2024-44 being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into a municipal funding agreement with the Association of Ontario Municipalities for the administration of the Canada Community Building Fund be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council the 2nd day of July 2024. Ms. McDonald.
Good evening, and through you, Mr. Mayor. This report this evening is strictly to accept and sign the new funding agreement for our annual gas tax funding. I gave a little bit of the history there, but It's very much non-negotiable. All we can really change is who signs it. So it's just something all municipalities are being asked to sign now.
Okay, would you say that this and other provincial and federal funding has kept up with the cost of inflation?
I'd say definitely not, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, that's good to have noted formally. All those in favor of the motion as read, if there's no questions? Carried. And thank you. As we move into the consent agenda, one item was pulled, the resolution for small municipalities and funding from North Glengarry, or is this, sorry, I think I said the wrong one. Items for consideration first, sorry. Support resolution, royal assent of AMPS in building code. I believe Deputy Mayor Lang brought this forward. I'd like us, is there a seconder so we can discuss it? Seconded by Councillor McDonnell. I'll read the resolution that we will support. Moved by Deputy Mayor Lang, seconded by Councillor McDonnell. The Administrative Monetary Penalty System, AMPS, is an enforcement tool approved by the provincial government in August of 2009 and was originally used for parking offenses to free up court time and cost. A large number of municipalities have adopted an AMPS program and have applied AMPS to other municipal enforcement bylaws. Excuse me. As a replacement to the standard Part 1 Provincial Offences Act, POA, ticket system, as it provides the alleged offender with the flexibility to appeal system and the municipal, oh my God, sorry, excuse me. With a flexible appeal system and the municipality, the ability to apply unpaid penalties onto the property taxes. AMPS frees up valuable provincial offenses court time, saving the province and the municipalities valuable resources and funds. AMPS was written into the Building Code Act in December of 2017. However, it has not received royal assent. AMPS has proven to be a valuable tool for education and enforcement of other municipal bylaws. Be it resolved that the Corporation of the Township of South Glengarry support the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Lake of Bays and ask that AMPS receive royal assent. In doing so, this would free up time for building officials to conduct their primary job, building inspections, instead of having to attend court normally a full day to hear an appeal of Part 1 tickets, at the same time providing the offender a more streamlined appeal system. Deputy Mayor Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I don't have too much to add to it, but I mean, I'd just like to see it go through, and then whether we decide to use it in our building department or not, I guess that option is up to us. But at the moment, since it hasn't finished reading it or received royal assent, we don't have that option. So.
Any questions from around the table? All right, we will support our former CAO, Brian Brown, as I believe he's the current CAO there. All those in favor of the motion is read. Carried. Moving to the consent agenda. One item was pulled, as mentioned earlier, infrastructure in small municipalities, North Glengarry. I don't know who pulled it. I imagine several people, but I will let somebody put a hand up and talk to it first. Councillor Bougie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through Mr. Mayor. So I'd like to support the resolution put forward by North Glengarry. It cites the fact that there's a lack of funding and maintenance for capital assets in small rural municipalities, and they were also cited some cases where the Ontario government was giving Toronto, for instance, 9.1 billion to assist with their operating deficits with the Don Valley Gardner Expressway. And they cited a couple other points as well. So I'd like to support them. And they're also, they're wanting the federal and Ontario government to commission a working group that includes a member of Eastern Ontario Warren's Caucus on how we're going to deal with this impending debt dilemma. So I just want to support this resolution.
Okay, is everybody, Deputy Mayor Lang?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. And through you, just to add my voice to it, that if it came back to us, I would definitely vote for it.
Oh, it is a fair point to bring up, that 9.1 billion to one municipality, when I think today I read that Central Huron is filling in a pool, very popular pool, or at least considering it. You hear of other municipalities, Whitechurch, Stouffville closing a bridge, municipality of Tweed. All these are smaller municipalities facing infrastructure deficits, and that 9.1 billion could do well as supplied to say 443 others. So I'd also be in support of it coming back. Is that all right, Mrs. Castleman, to bring back with the resolution?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, we'll prepare it as an item for consideration at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Great. Moved by Deputy Mayor Lang, seconded by Councillor Jaworski. Be it resolved that council accepts the items listed on the consent agenda. All those in favor? Carried. Now moving into closed session. Moved by Councillor Bougie, seconded by Councillor Jaworski. Be it resolved that the council convene to closed session at 7:45 p.m. to discuss the following items under section 239(2) of the Municipal Act SO 2001. Be personal matters about identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, specifically HR matter, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, specifically a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land. All those in favor?